Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. As you probably already ascertained from the description, we're going to be talking about laser levels in this video. Let's just start off and presume that you, the landscaper, have not got a laser level, have been contemplating buying one, and you're not quite sure of the type, the make, the model, and what you're basically looking for out there in the vast world of laser levels. There's many companies, many manufacturers, many different suppliers, ranging in a wide range of prices, and obviously then the prices go in with the quality of the machine you want to buy and what that machine can actually do. So I suppose if you're to go and contact a laser level company or a supplier, they're going to give you the whole spiel on all the different makes, models and styles and different things you can do. I'm just going to break it down into, I suppose, a little bit of simplicity and make it quite easy to understand the different types of laser levels out there. We then look at the use and the pitfalls and some of the things that go wrong on site and how to best utilise one of these pieces of equipment on site also. So firstly, we'll talk about the type of laser. So when you go to purchase a laser, depending on the make and manufacturer, but let's just talk about this particular model I have here. This machine is on the go for a long time, good many years now. I served this very, very well and can't fault it in any way. Wasn't cheap when we purchased it, and you know, it has paid back dividends for the quality of work and the no downtime at all over those years. So the manufacturer of this machine is Topcon. They will be one of the top end manufacturers of laser levels out there. So let's just talk about the couple of different styles you can have when you're talking about laser levels. So your standard laser level will be a single slot or single grade laser. So that basically means the laser level will cast out perfectly level, horizontal plane, and anywhere you go across the site you can pick up that single plane and you can work with that to take levels, etc. That being the standard base level type laser level you can buy. They do come in different forms. This particular model is a rotating laser. It is rechargeable, so you can bring it home at night, plug it in to your power point, and it's fully rechargeable. The cheaper models tend to be more battery, so you're either putting in disposable batteries, what have you. As I say, this is a rotating laser. I have had lasers years ago which were prism lasers, which basically sent out a beam all around that didn't rotate. There are cheaper versions of that then where you've got literally a spirit level, a short spirit level, and a laser beam casts out of that. You have to physically laser in that laser, get it perfectly plumbed, get it maybe at 2 axes, and it will cast out a beam. That being one of the cheapest models. Very, very hard to set up, can be set up very badly, and then that will give you false readings and inaccurate readings. Right, talk about the setup then. So when your laser of this kind of quality, let's stick with the single grade for the moment. This type of laser here is what's called self-leveling. So when you turn on this machine, the machine will calibrate, will adjust itself till it finds perfect level plane. You'll hear the little motors inside moving away there to get the thing perfectly level, and it will only start to rotate and cast out the laser beam once the machine has decided it's perfectly level. The good thing about that is that once you turn it on, anybody turns it on, it's going to be set level every time. You rule out the human error fact where you can make things a little bit off level and you haven't adjusted it properly, and therefore then you're not going to get false readings, what have you. So that's a very good plus to buying a good quality machine that has a self-level. But obviously rechargeable, as I said, is a good bonus as well. That's your base level kind of single grade laser. The next thing then you can go for, there's 2 steps up from that. You can go a single grade, which basically means if you were the landscaper, we're putting down maybe you had to go maybe 50 metres across the garden with a drain to take water from maybe a car parking area, paved area, or maybe even draining the lawn, or you're putting down a large patio and you want to get, you know, you maybe want to go on your 1 100 fall and you're wanting to get that perfect fall to the far end of that patio, so that you're sure that that water is going to migrate off the patio as you have planned. So by going with single slope, it means that you can pitch the laser. So let's say we're going sloping it down the hill in that direction. You can slope the laser without the machine stopping, by the way. Obviously it will run, but it will give you a slope. You can make a calculation by taking a level, working out your fall. They usually come with a little diagram and a little calculation where you can work out the percentage of fall that you can have to get your perfect fall from A to B. That way then, when you're setting out your base, digging out the formation level first, setting out your base, you're guaranteed every time to have that fall on the site or on the area in question. Or if it's a pipe run, that you're guaranteed that pipe is going to have, maybe it's a sewer line, you're going in 1 in 40, and you want to have your sewer line falling perfectly from one end to the other. And that gives you the reassurance that when you've dug out the site, dug out the level, put in the pipe, everything is 100%. And that's where these pieces of equipment become invaluable. The other side to that then is obviously that you're not hauling away extra material, you're not bringing in extra material. So when these machines are used to the best of their ability and you get best value out of these machines, you're going to save money and ultimately save the price of this machine in materials and the time it takes to prepare a base or a drain line. The second then, the third step up, we'll say, is a dual grade laser, which this laser here is. And what that basically means is, it's more, I suppose, and the reason we had this machine here was when we were building sports ground, doing sports ground construction, and we would have to put a crossfall on a soccer pitch or a GA pitch over in Ireland, or if you're doing a cricket ground or whatever you may be doing, tennis courts or AstroTurf pitch. The specification will be given by a designer, and you will be actually asked for a crossfall. So what you will have on the like of this laser is you've got an X line and a Y line, which is your cross horizontals, and what you can do is you can set a fall in the X axis, we'll say run this way, you can set a fall in the Y axis heading that way, and that then in turn gives a diagonal fall from one corner of your plane surface to the other, and that is to facilitate drainage. Now where that would come in maybe on a very large patio, and I have seen guys doing very, very large patios where people want a massive area at the back of the house, you might utilise the like of that facility. It may be something you wouldn't be interested in spending the money on, but it is there and it is an option. Obviously the price increases as you go up along the scale in your single grade, single slope, and your dual grade at the top of the scale, okay? So you've gone out, you've done your research, and you've picked the laser level you want to buy, and you've got it home, you charge it up, you want to have a play around with it and get going. So I suppose now the point, or the part of the discussion we're going to lead into now is, once you get the laser out into the site, and how to best make value of your purchase. So what I see quite a lot with guys who buy these, they turn them on, they learn how to maybe put your staff on the ground, and they simply go set a level, and they go over there and go, yeah, that's grand, that's level with that, and they come along there with a measuring tape, then they measure down to 50 mil or whatever it is, and then they put a string line. And effectively, yes, you've got a little bit of value out of your laser level, but you really haven't got any value at all, because you could pull a string line, a good taut string line, and put a line bubble on, or a bubble onto the line, and that will do you just as good. You're after spending a couple of £100 on a laser line. So the first thing I always do, and I suppose this stems back from some of my time when I was on civil engineering works and large construction jobs and some motorway construction and what have you, is there's a thing called a datum point or a datum point. So if you can see down here, there's a couple of ways of doing this, okay? So if you can see down here, it might be hard to see, take this as a piece of footpath surrounding your house. So you come along with your little small steel nail with a washer on it, and you hammer that down into the corner of the footpath. somewhere that's not going to be disturbed throughout the whole project, somewhere that's not going to be maybe scraped or hit by a machine or something put on top of it. And you inform all the staff that you have working there or any other contractors on site that that's your data point and you don't want it moved, okay? So what you simply do then is, and this is a little bit of homework you can do before you head on to the project, so you either have a set of nice drawings done by a garden designer or something you've produced yourself, or it's something you've designed, a very low-key job, but you can go home and you can work out that you want to be X amount of millimetres below the threshold of the door, your damp-proof level. Then you may have a step down from that main patio area or a footpath to a lower level. You might go down across the garden, you might be going to build a seat somewhere in the garden, a nice stone seat or some raised planters or whatever it may be, and you're going to raise back up, 300-400 mils. So if you go home, get a sheet of paper, get your flip chart or something hard that you can, you can protect it, a sleeve, maybe to put it in, laminate it if you wish, and you write down on the on your little sheet the level from your data point maybe to the first level that you're going to work to. So you've already ascertained that one of your key levels is going to be the threshold of the door. So you take your data point, you take a measurement from one to the other, and you can use the laser level to do that. I'll show you that now in a second, how to take a level. So you've identified that data point. Now, you may have one or two guys working on site with you that one of them could be a digger driver that's doing your machinery work. If you have the luxury of having 2 or 3 people in these capacities, you may have a block layer coming on site, you may have a guy, maybe you might subcontract in a paving company, whatever different way, or you're doing it all yourself. So you can come along then, and very simply, you can put your laser level onto your data point. The reason I've suggested using a steel nail with a washer is once it's embedded in the concrete, it isn't going anywhere, it's not going to move up or down, and the level isn't going to change. So you can put your data, or your staff on your data point, you can turn on your laser level, get it set running, and you can take the level of that data point in relation to where you're working. Now, from there then, you can make calculations then that your patio maybe is going to be 150 mil above that data point, maybe your lawn is going to be 200-300 mil below that. You've already done these calculations throughout the site, so you've worked out the different levels of the different aspects of the garden. So by doing that, and this is a very, very important part of why these pieces of equipment are very valuable. Cast your mind to a project that you've done before where a narrow little site, maybe with side access coming in by, to one side of a house, little narrow access, and obviously you want to, and this is the way I do work anyhow, we'd like to start at the back of the garden and work our way up to the house and work our way out of the garden, out to the front. Now obviously every site is different and it depends what you're doing with every site. But the great advantage to having these machines on site at laser level and your data point is you've already calculated out that you might want to fall on the back lawn down to where a base for a shed is going in, or you're going to put a fence line along between the neighbouring on the neighbouring boundaries, and you don't want that fence to be too low, too high, so it wants to be in relation to the whole aspect of the site. And again, this is where saving money comes in. If you go too low, you may have to remove way too much material from the garden and take it away. If you go in too high, you may have to bring a lot of soil in to bring up the levels of that lawn so that it looks a sweet looking garden from A to B with a lovely level plane across the site. So by the use of the laser level, if you decide with the shed company coming in a week's time, you need to get the base in, get it poured, get it cured, you can take, as you've already worked out, data point level, which is here. You can go down across the site and you can say to yourself, from the data point we're going to be 150-200 mil below that to the finish level of our concrete pad for our new shed going. So you take your level, wherever the receiver picks up the laser on the data point, you can simply come along with a marker if you wish, or take note, and if it's a bit early hours and you're a little bit confused by all these numbers, how they work, you can simply put a mark on your staff that will tell you with a pencil or something that can be rubbed off, that will say to you, there's the level of my data. You can go to the bottom of the garden and you can say we're 150 mil below. You can get your measuring tape, measure up 150 mil, move up your receiver, down into the ground, and you can put a peg in the ground so you get a piece of rebar, drive it into the ground, and that's the level that you're going to cast your concrete floor at. Now, you've just saved yourself a lot of time, a lot of head scratching, and you've ruled out the possibility of something being too high or too low. So when the overall project is finished, all the pieces of the jigsaw, in whatever order you have to build them or you choose to build them, maybe the weather has broken and you can't do a certain part of the job, so you can jump onto somewhere else. And it rules out, as I say, waste of materials. It rules out having to bring excess soil off-site. As we know, these are all costs that can run quite high, and it eats into the profit on the job, and sometimes can even run to the point where the job is non-profitable. And there's no point in doing a job for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks and coming out at the end of it with zero money. You may as well stay at home. There's no point in doing that type of thing. So that's where these machines will save you time and money. The other side of it then as well is, again, maybe when you're constructing a wall, again, you need to know what level a certain wall is going to come up out of the ground, whether it be for a raised planter, whether it be a wall divided to two gardens, whatever it may be. The good thing about these pieces of equipment is that you can, again, take data point, you can go down the site, work out this is your finished ground level. You can then say to yourself, how many courses of blocks am I going to put down on the ground? So I'm going to bury maybe 100 mil, 1 course, 2 courses, whatever it may be. Or if it's brick, again you can work out how many courses of brick you want to get just under the ground to get in on a good footing. You then have to work out how much concrete you're going to put into your footing, and then you could work down to what your dig level is, your formation level at the bottom of your foundation. So at that stage, you can come along, dig down, strike a level with your receiver on your staff, and that's the level then. If you're digging it by hand or if you have a machine coming in, you can dig that level of that foundation right across the site, and the bottom of the foundation is going to be perfectly level if both the guy on the shovel working the receiver and the guy on the machine work in tandem and get a bit of a relationship going as to, one of my pet hates is when we're on a job and I give one of my guys the staff and the receiver to go along the site and give me some feedback as to how the digger is going, am I going high or going low. And I often have to stop the machine and say, I can't read your mind. Is it a secret as to what level I'm working at? Will you please inform me? So loud verbal commands. You're 2 inches too low on it. You're bang on there on it. Come up an inch. You can do whatever, a bit of sign language. Come up 1 inch, come up 2 inches, down. You can work your own. That's why I say a good relationship between the man on the shovel and the staff and the machine driver is very important. So now you've excavated out the level of your foundation across the site, and this again steps on to the next bit of a level where you may have multiple walls in a garden. So you may have a wall going across, maybe moving down. You could have a raised planter over here. You could have an island bed in the centre, maybe for a water feature, or a wall down the back, maybe with a fence going to go up above it, or whatever it may be. And the good thing about the laser level is it will ensure that all your dig levels are all going to be the same. Your concrete foundations are all going to be poured the same. Your block walls are all going to be the same level, and that extends up to the top block, where when the customer walks in and looks at the job, the top of every wall is 100% level, and all the levels are the same. And this rules out the equation where the customer comes in and goes, I think that wall there is a little bit higher than that wall, and maybe that could have been the case. And the use of these things rule out that, so you don't get that conflict situation where somebody is criticising what you've done. So that's where some of the practices, some of the uses of a laser level, where they become very, very important and very, very good. Your datum point, by the way, can be a number of different things. You can get a piece of rebar and go into a secluded part of the garden where you can guarantee that this can be put into the ground and it's not going to be tampered with, hit by a machine, something thrown over against it to knock it over. And usually what I would do is if I had to use that system, I'd put a little bit of paint on it. Maybe sometimes stand up a concrete block just beside it or in front of it. It's always a good way to know if the block is after moved or knocked over. There's a chance that the data point has not moved. And again, you may have to reset that data point, but it's always good. Some little thing just to make sure that that data point has not been tampered with. Okay. Another good thing to use is your AJ cover. Now, in this case of a plastic one, maybe not so good unless it's set into a concrete footpath where you know there is no possibility of that moving. Obviously, a new unit fitted into the ground can be in a little bit of hardcore, and there's a chance there there'll be a little bit of give in the ground. Not so good. And then failing all that, if you're uncomfortable with using some of these different things, you can always revert back to maybe just using, say, the level of a door threshold going in, or maybe it could be a little side building like a garage door where you have a little concrete edge. You can use that, or the base for an oil tank, or for a coal bunker or something like that. You may have a base. There could be in an outdoor, in a countryside setting, you would have a septic tank in the garden, a large concrete area. Again, you can go with that, right? So that's your data point, and how you can set up and what have you. Another good thing, another good trick is always to try and put your laser level in the same position all the time. Again, there's a couple of reasons for that. We'll discuss those now in a minute when it comes to site presentation, the preparation and layout of how you're going to start and run your project. The other little thing I should mention as well is that when you buy your receiver, unfortunately, not to my knowledge anyhow, you don't buy these as rechargeable units. They're going to always come with just a single battery. In this case, it's one of those little rectangular shaped batteries. Always ensure that your laser or your receiver is well secured to your staff. One thing that always annoys me, and as long as I'm using laser levels, I can understand how it happens, but it always seems to happen all the time, is when you're working out your level, invariably, at some point, you're going to end up having to put the laser on this joint in the extendable part of your receiver, so it'll always end up on that, and it never fits on it properly, and the laser wobbles around. And more times than not, what you have to go back and do is get your laser, drop it down a couple of inches or open the legs and drop it up a little bit so that it'll come in over that. Because if not, all day long, every time you touch off of this thing, when it's sitting on the knuckle, it's going to bend and wobble, and it'll just go it'll go off the level that you require. So it's no good, right? So I did mention a few minutes ago that when you're digging trenches and grading out your formation level for a patio or a car park, or digging a line for curbs, there's so many different uses for the laser. There is an alternative to having the guy on the ground following you around all day, and that's where you purchase a machine receiver. So this being a staff mounted receiver that you clamp on with the use of this little clamp here. You also have the option of one of these devices, which are very hard to remove from a metal surface, as you can see. But basically this receiver here, when it's turned on, will magnetise through these magnets onto the boom of an excavator, or in the case of machines like your Avant loader or your Bobcat skid steer type machine, or multi-one type machine that may have a grading bar, or you might have a blade on the front of it, whatever. It's very simple to come along, if the machine doesn't already have it, and bolt on or weld on something like a steel column like this onto one side of the machine, and you basically can attach one of these guys on. Basically what happens is your laser is running on site as normal. You put the boom of the digger, so let's just say this is the boom of your digger, with your attachment, blade, bucket, whatever. You put that onto the formation level that you wish to achieve. So that could be the dig level of your foundation, that could be the dig level of your patio, your car park, or it could be at the stage where you're putting in your type 1, as you call it in the UK, or your 804 type material in Ireland. And you want to get 150 mil of this out onto the surface before compaction. So what you do is say you turn on the machine, you put your bucket, your blade, whatever it may be, onto the formation level that you've decided is what you want. You turn on your receiver, and then you slide this down along the bow in this kind of a fashion, and you slide it down along the bow till you're at your desired level, and when the green light flashes in the centre, and you lock it on. And you can trust me when I tell you this, that won't fall off. I've had that piece of equipment on large excavators, 15, 20 ton machines, digging out sports pitches and digging rock, hammering and banging all day, as you can imagine, on a big machine. And when you put that on, it will not fall off. How that was first described to me was a guy that was selling it to me he said he brought it home one evening when it was first introduced to the market, and he put it onto his fridge, and he bent the door of the fridge taking it off, and when he pulled it off, the whole door of the fridge pulled out. So he wasn't in great feckle after his wife came home and found out that. So a very good piece of equipment. It does have different tolerance levels. So in the difference between some of these guys, you can't get different tolerance levels. So some of them vary. And in the case of this piece of equipment here, you can have this down as far as 2 mil. So you can set this that you have a 2 mil tolerance between level and non-level. You can have a 6 mil, a 12 mil, and a 30 mil. So depending on how big an area and maybe the type of material that you're working in, if you were digging a foundation and the ground was very, very rough and lots of stone and rock in the ground, it's going to be very hard to strike that really good sweet spot level. So with the use of this, tweak it down to suit the grade, the type of ground you're digging, and you can actually adjust it that it'll give you a pretty good level with the conditions you're excavating. So that's just something maybe worth looking at if some of you guys out there have a good bit of equipment and you're doing a lot of that work where, again, if you excavate too deep or you excavate, take away too much material, that will obviously have a cost of exporting that soil, subsoil, whatever it may be, hardcore, whatever it is, off-site, very, very costly. And then obviously if you go too deep in the case of a foundation or a base for a patio, whatever it may be, you're going to be bringing in more material to construct the proper base there. So this will ensure that the machine will be working at a good, even steady all the time. Now, I suppose this is going to the extreme level of this scenario with lasers. It is becoming a little bit more popular out there in the world at the moment. It's been on the scene for a long time. It's just something maybe just worth throwing in there and in the back of your mind, and maybe something in 10 years time, you could be purchasing a new machine and it might be something you would say, right, I'm going to go to this next step. And you can say, I remember that mad Egypt, Alan O'Connor talking about that a long time ago. But there is a thing called machine control, which this thing here isn't. Obviously, you still have to drive the digger and make sure the green light is flashing. But in the case of machine control, and these things are becoming cheaper and cheaper as time goes by. I remember looking at putting it on a bulldozer, a Cat D6 one time, and I think it was going to cost me €10,000 for the valve chest alone, just to be allowed to control the machine. Without any of the receivers rang, it was going to cost 10 grand. So that was definitely a no-no. We did buy a different version of this that had an in-cab view, so that it was a little bit easier for the operator to work it. The machine control basically means that the laser beam coming from here will be picked up with a much more elaborate receiver on a machine. So whether it's a 360 excavator, whether it's a grain beam in the back of a tractor, whatever it may be, that the receiver will pick up the laser beam coming across, and it's set through an electronic system into the hydraulics onto the machine, that it will always stay level. So if this machine drops down, the signal will be sent to the hydraulics in the machine, and the machine will come back up or move in whichever way you need it to go. So that is something coming down the line. It is available, it's out there, it is quite expensive, but the cost of that is coming down as time goes by. But I can imagine in definitely the next 10 to 15 years, it's like some of the attachments that are available now. I remember back in the day when I started landscaping first, mini diggers didn't have quick attaches or quick hitches, and now a digger without a quick hitch or quick attach is a waste of time. Nobody wants that anymore. They want a quick attach on the machine. They even have, I have a new mini digger this year with a hydraulic quick hitch, which again was just not heard of over the last 8-10 years. So things are coming along, and that is something that will invariably become an item that people will be using, because it will cut down on material loss, importation, exportation of materials. It will also cut down on labour. So it means the man on the machine can do the power of work on a site without ever getting out of the cab, wasting time in and out. He doesn't need a guy with him, and he will create the levels that are required on the site. Bang, bang, bang. All you have to do is give him a spreadsheet and say this is what I require, and away they go. So that's something that's coming down the line. The next thing I'd like to talk about is some of the things that could go wrong on site, mistakes guys use, or some guys out there, some mistakes they make when using a laser level. The first and most common thing, I suppose, is setting up the laser level and where you set it up. So, two little things. The first thing I see guys doing, or girls, because we've had a couple of ladies working for us over the years, and they've all had their little moments with making these things here. We'll tell you one funny story now in a second, but when you set up your laser level, you always try and find somewhere very secure, very sound ground. So obviously putting it in the middle of a wet lawn isn't such a good idea, because what's going to happen throughout the day, machines passing by, the ground is going to get soggy in the machine, will vibrate the ground. If you use a whacker blade, especially very close by, and the machine will migrate into the soil. Now, the good thing about high quality laser is that when a machine passes by and vibrates the ground, and the laser moves over slightly, and it goes off calibration or off level, that the machine is not happy anymore, this will stop spinning. But that's in your higher end machines, probably also in some of your low end machines. But that is a very, very, very good thing to have, and it will ensure that the levels can't be taken incorrectly on the site. So this leads on to the second mistake that people make, where they run up, put the laser level up outside the patio door in the house, or outside of a window in the house on the footpath. They go, great. I heard what Alan O'Connor said, get it on a solid base. Concrete footpath, it isn't going anywhere, 100%. But this is a question I get quite often. And only a couple of months ago I was on a site, subcontracted into another landscaper. Won't mention his name because I wouldn't like to embarrass him, but recently purchased the laser level. When we arrived on site, we had brought our own laser to do the subcontractor work we were there for. And he was scratching his head, and he was going, what's going on here? You might be able to help me out, the laser is not working. I get this beeping sound all the time, I don't know what's going on, it's beeping on the ground, it's doing all sorts of funny stuff. And I looked down where he had the laser up on, in this case, at the patio, but it was about 300-400 mils away from a lovely big set of bifold doors or big French doors. And in that case, what can happen is the beam from the laser can bounce off of the glass, and it can send out that beam at a funny angle. So your receiver could be on the ground 20 metres away, but it could still be beeping. But it also could be within a couple of inches of where you're actually going to be taking a level, and you could get a false reading. So instead of it being here level where it should be, you can get a reading up here, and you can get a reading down here. And it's simply because the laser is bouncing off of the glass. In the case of the prism type laser, we had woeful trouble years ago in the early doors when lasers were only becoming a thing, and we had similar problems to that as well. The prism type laser was actually worse, where it was actually bouncing back in, and it was hitting the prism, and it was giving a funny read, and we ended up getting our money back for the machine. They brought it off, they couldn't figure out what was wrong, and it actually turned out the glass was the fault. So that then obviously is the two kind of items linked together, where setting it up on a good solid base. So just bear those things in mind when you're setting up a laser level. It's always good, when I say, to set the laser level up in the same position all the time, for the simple reason that you can bring your machine driver, maybe the guy that's hauling in and out materials, maybe a a truck coming in, taking away a spoil or bringing in hardcore or whatever into the site. And it's good practice just to let everybody know where the laser is, and they'll all learn to, acknowledge where it is, and they'll remember where it is, so they know when they're coming in around the corner of a building that the laser level is there, and that's where it always will be. So it's just a good little practice just to land it in the same spot all the time. Now, this leads on to the next thing then. If you're going to use a single grade or a dual grade, like we mentioned earlier on, this is where the laser being in the same position all the time is imperative. So if you're going to set a single grade laser and you're going to dig your formation level, you're going to put in maybe in some cases a driveway instance where you're going to have your larger type infill material, then you're going to go for a finer type 1 material, 804 material. You may even have to put a blinded layer on it, and then obviously then it's going to be, you're going to use the laser for getting your levels, your string lines for running in your actual finished level of your paving. The mistake some guys make, and again this is something I learned the hard way one time, is that when you set the laser up, and anything that has a dual or single grade will usually have a looking glass. So in the case of this laser, there's a looking glass straight through this way and that way to represent both planes. So what you have to do, so let's say this is our area for our laser. What I generally would do is mark 3 little circles on my hard surface that the podium or the 3 legs will sit in, so that every time they're going to be in the same location. I will then mark something on the wall at the bottom of the site, whether I can go down and put a mark on the wall, whether it's the line of a fence post, whatever it may be. And I can look through that looking glass there, and I can see my mark at the bottom of the site. I can twist my laser on the top of the stand, tripod, so that it lines up with that mark. That will ensure that when you come in day 2, day 3 or day 23, once you set your grade on your fall, especially with dual grade more so than anything, it will ensure you that you're aiming at the same point and the grade will be identical. Because if you rotate that level, this laser level, clockwise 5 or 10 degrees, so that it's not aiming at that point, it's aiming at that point there, that will in turn will have changed the grade that you're working on. So you will come in on day 1, you will work away, come in on day 2, and you'll be scratching your head going, why has my grade changed when I have everything else set up? So it's a good practice to set everything up in the same place, same grade, same position on the wall if it's a grade situation. If it's just plain single horizon, just set it in the same place and away you go. The soft ground thing, as I've said, where a machine driving by or a whacker plate going by will shake the ground and down it will go. Another little aspect that's very, very good with these lasers, especially the high quality lasers, is, as you can see, there's 4 windows on this laser here, and there's usually 4 or 5 or 6, so there's normally 4 I think on any type of laser. What you can do with this type of machine, again you're a very, very high end machine. Now then, again this is something maybe for some of you commercial landscapers out there who are on a site, maybe, let's picture a hotel or a school grounds, and you're in there trying to get, curb levels in, or you're, whatever you may be doing, putting down some brick paving in an entrance or whatever it may be, and you're going to use your laser level. And on that same site, there could be a company putting up lighting, and they could be wanting a laser level to set the bases of their pedestals for their lights. There could be another guy out the back putting maybe excavating out a foundation to put in a boundary wall, or there could be another group of tradesmen on the site doing whatever, right? And they'll all have laser levels. But the thing about the laser levels is that these things aren't, how will I say, attracted to this laser only. These guys here will receive anybody's laser. So with this 4-window laser level, you can shut out any one or all three of these windows and only work out through one window. So that you will only receive the laser maybe on this side or on this side here. So that you're not interfering with other lasers on the site, and it's a little bit easier to ascertain which laser is sending the signal. And that's a good thing as well. Another little pitfall on some sites. It's, I suppose, something that's dying out really. But there used to be a type of beacon that you could have on a dumper, a roller, you know, whatever kind of machine on site. And it was a beacon that, I don't know whether this is the correct name now or not, but we used to call them xenon beacons. And they were the pulse type beacon. Now not to be confused with the LED beacon nowadays, but you used to have years ago a rotating beacon, which was the light that rotated and flashed. But then you had this pulse type beacon. It would actually be quite common on things like forklifts in warehouses and what have you. And they gave a really fast pulse light. It was kind of like a ping, ping, ping kind of a, you know, it was actually, if you were up close to it, you'd hear that little shot in it. They were a nuisance of a thing that your receiver would go mad if one of those was on site. Again, it was something picked up over time. Couldn't figure out why this thing was going mad. Even when you turned off your laser, this thing was still going mad. That it was the xenon beacon that was doing it. So look, they're probably not plentiful anymore, because I know the LED light has practically taken over that market. The rotating beacon is still there, but there are some of those xenon beacons in circulation still on machines, and you know, they can be in warehouses and put on a new machine just as easy. So just to be aware of that's something that can actually go on as well. And that's, I suppose, is really, you know, keep these things out of the rain, even though, you know, they are sealed and they are waterproof. But again, you just don't want to have them in the water if you can help it at all. Obviously, if they work in the rain, you have to work in the rain, and away you have to go. A few other little tips maybe. When you're using your receiver, I see people coming in on site and, you know, they're having to put this thing up and whatever. You know, it can be a case of if you're building a block wall and you just want to take a quick level, just you take out your box, laser level, open it up, put this up on the block wall, or just put a concrete block flat on the ground, pop it up on it, that it's not going to move. Get your receiver, and I'd often use a small little 18-inch, 2-foot long spirit level, clamp it onto it, and it will do for handy little work where you're just want to take a level of a block wall, just a couple of times, just want to ensure your block wall is running level, so you go bang, 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 across the site, happy days. So again, it doesn't have to be on the legs at all, just when it's a case of you're only wanting to just take a couple of quick levels on a block wall, just ensure that you're running level. That's very important, especially when it comes to us guys that are not full-on block layers, that we're well into lay blocks, but we just wouldn't be laying blocks every day like a block layer or a brick layer would be doing. So we need that little bit of help just to ensure us that we're running right, you know. So that's just a good little trick. The last thing, and it's another little aspect of laser levels, is to take levels, right? So for the purpose of this, I've brought along what we use if we're going to have to take a lot of levels on a site, which is a digital theodolite, right? So this piece of equipment here can be used on site, and that's why you've got all your graduations on your staff. So these graduations are here so that you can take levels. So when you go on site with a theodolite, and if it's something you're doing a lot of, taking levels quite often, something like this is a very good piece of equipment, where it's a two-man job unfortunately, but if somebody here who's looking through this piece of equipment here, and they can use this staff opened up to its maximum, and they can read the levels throughout the site. Especially if you're surveying a large site, you can take those levels, bring them home, and you can do your calculations as to how much excavation or backfill you require. So that's just to show you that that's what a theodolite is. Now this is a digital theodolite. This will do certain things. It will set out 90-degree corners, a little bit more above and beyond your standard theodolite, or what was known, or probably still is known, as a dumpy level. And they're a very, very cheap piece of equipment to buy. Again, if you train up yourself and one of your guys on how to use these staffs and how to hold them on site, and it takes a little bit of sign language kind of to let them know when you're happy, when you've taken the level, to move on to the next one, as you are maybe somewhere in the region of 100 metres, 150 metres away on a big site, taking levels of this kind, right? So some people ask me, how do you take levels, or what can I use to take levels on the site. So again, you're going out on site in the morning, you've got a call from a customer, and you want to take some levels across the site so you can go home and do calculations. This is especially important for some of the garden designer guys, especially if you're a garden designer and you're going to build as well, because you're the one that hopefully is going to follow through and construct the job. So again, a simple way of doing it is you get your laser level, and let's just say for talk's sake, you're going to start at the back door of the house on the threshold of the door. So you come along, you put your receiver or your staff on the level with your laser level running, and you come along then and you will attach on your receiver. You will bring it up to the correct level when the green light shows. It'll show you on here, and there's also a window on the back just to show you. You get it to the desired level, when it's beeping, green light showing usually, and you go, right, I'm level at that. Then you can go out onto the garden then, go so many metres away, so I don't need to tell you guys on the survey side, but measure out so many metres and go, right, we're going to put in our edge of our patio here, we're going to drop down X amount of millimetres, whatever. So you come along then, and you can simply put this staff on the ground. What you can do, one of two things, and in the case of my staff, the lettering and numbers are gone. Again, you can put a mark on the level with a pencil. You can then move this up or down according to whether the ground is rising or dropping. So you can move this up or down till it beeps on the new level of ground you just moved to. And then you can come along, either count the measurements on here, or if you're a little bit old school, you can come along and you can get your measuring tape out if you want to work in inches or millimetres, whatever way you want to work, and you can come along and say, right, I've just moved that 6 inches, so 10 metres out from the wall of the house, we've got a 6-inch rise in the ground, or a 6-inch fall in the ground, depending on whatever it may be. Another aspect of where these things come in, for any of you guys who do a lot of fencing, especially with your panel type fencing, so your H-posted panel, or some of these new aluminium, or these powder coated steel fences, or even some of your weld mesh fencing that you're putting on some of the more industrial sites or around sports pitches or whatever. So you go into your typical site and you're asked to put a fence along one boundary, and the first thing you look at it and you go, right, there's a nice fall on the ground there. So you can use your laser level and you can ascertain, like what I've just said, you can set the laser up, top of the garden, bottom of the garden, whichever you may be. Sometimes it's a case of having to start in the middle, take a level, go up the hill, go down the hill, and you can take the levels. And if it's a case of there's a nice even fall of the garden, there's nothing more pleasing than looking at a fence and saying all the steps that are in the fence, so as you go along the site, all the steps are equal, and that looks very, very nice, that you, the contractor, can walk away and go, that, I went the extra mile and I worked it out. So if it's a case that there's a nice even fall from top to bottom, you can come in, take your level, and you can ascertain that there's 300 mil, 800 mil, 1.2 metres of a fall from point A to point B. You can then work out the measurement, work out how many panels you're putting up. So if it's whatever amount of panels by X amount of a fall, simple calculation, you can work out that you need 30 mil, 40 mil, 50 mil between each panel of a rise or a fall on the run. So as you go along, you can mark your post down, put in your line, level it up, mark down 30 mil, drop it down every time, 30 mil, 30 mil, 30 mil, the whole way to the bottom. And again, very pleasing on the eye when you walk away, that the whole thing looks very, very sweet. And you are standing out from the crowd now. You're not just the guy coming in and just throwing them in and then a big drop and away you go again. So that's a very, very handy use of the laser level, where you can take the level and then work it back. Another little trick that I've used over the years, again with the laser level, is especially with your wooden type gate posts, or some of these nice, very ornate granite type posts, or some cases you may be asked to put up a gate post with a nice set of gates running through. Some guys do that, some guys don't do that. Some companies, maybe subcontracting the guy. But in the case of whether you're fitting it yourself or you're subcontracting in a gate manufacturing company, they may say to you, we want to dig out, you're the contractor, will you dig out the pits to put in put in the guys running across the the two gate posts. And yes, I come along and I do that. So again, what we'd always do, and this is one place where this comes into its own. If you have a situation where, obviously if you're putting up a set of gates, they have to be 100% level. Or when they meet in the middle, there's going to be one gate higher than the other, and there's nothing looks as bad. So you have to put the gates in level, as I said. But outside of the garden, the roadway has a slope on it, running left to right. And I've had these arguments with people over the years, where I've put in the gate post level. And obviously to put in gate post level, when there's a fall on the site, or a fall on the road outside especially, one gate post is going to look like it's way higher. So let's say there's a fall running this way, the gate post on the lower side will look like it's higher out of the ground. But it will be higher out of the ground because it has to be level, of course it does. And people will come into you in the evening, and the customer, not been trained, or maybe have never done something like this before, will argue with you all day long, that's not level. They'll tell you the two posts are not level. But you have put them level. And this is where, again, a laser level is very, very invaluable, where you excavate out the hole, whether it's the use of an auger on a digger, or whether you've just dug out the pit, or dug it out by hand, whatever way you approach these projects. You dig out the hole, and you level out the base of the hole, and then, depending on the size of the pit, but you can maybe go with a half a concrete block or a full concrete block. And you can put the concrete block in the bottom of the hole, maybe on a little bit of hardcore, tamp it out, put the concrete block in the bottom of the hole, measuring up to get it to the right level, so that you've got your 300-400 mil or 500 mil in the ground to make it secure. You then can come along with your laser level. You can drop the laser level down into the hole in the ground, move your receiver up, strike a level, and then go and dig your other pit at the other side of the road, or the driveway, dig it out, and repeat the process where you use the laser level to get that concrete block in the bottom of that hole, identical to the far side. Now when it comes to lifting in, whether it be a big, heavy, chunky wooden type post, or whether it's a granite type thing, maybe it's a wrought iron type of setting, whatever kind of a gate post you're putting into the ground, when you lift those in, and more times than not these are heavy, cumbersome types of things to handle, and you're lifting it in with a machine, or two guys are lifting it in, all you have to do is lift that in and place it on the concrete block in the bottom of the hole. Now when you place it in, all you're having to worry about is getting that post plumb, squaring it up with the road or the driveway or whatever aspect you're working to, whether you have a string line running from one side to the other to get it lined up square. If it's a round post, obviously easier, but all you're concerned now is it plumb. Because you have already worked out that the level of the post in the ground is set, and the two posts are set dead level with each other. So happy days, and when the customer comes home, they can argue all day long with you that that post is not level, and you can go out there and pull a string line across, put a level up to it, and you know that you've used your piece of equipment, and job's awesome. Well, I think that covers more or less everything out there that I can share with you. I will be touching on the use of these things again in a later video when I talk about the subject of approaching a site and how the best way to handle a site, especially in wet weather, and the laser level will come into that a little bit. We will also do a video later on when we have excavators involved, and we might give a bit of a run on this thing actually working. I'm not quite sure how the laser is going to affect the camera, and I'm a bit weary of maybe the laser bouncing into the screen a little bit, so we might just blank off one of the windows and see how it'll go. So that's it for this video, folks. Again, if you like what you see and this video is of any use to you, please hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell so you'll get further notifications of the next video we have coming up. If there's any company out there that are suppliers of these products, and you have something to offer, or something new, or a new idea behind these lasers or whatever, and you'd like to give us a bell or drop us an email, please feel free to do so. And maybe we could feature something that you have for offer, or a different alternative to what we've shown here today. Some of the equipment I have here is quite old, and it's still works, it does the job. This was just a bit of an insight into the world of laser levels and what to do. So thanks very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Till the next time, thank you very much. Good luck.